The silence of deep space shattered when the scanners erupted with warnings. Captain Daewon Kim stood on the bridge of the Taejin's Hope, his eyes fixed on the view screen as massive shapes emerged from the darkness. They were ships, but unlike anything humanity had ever built. Each vessel dwarfed his exploration cruiser like a mountain overshadowing a pebble. "Commander Hana, report," Daewon said, his voice steady despite the tension crackling through the bridge. Hana Lee's fingers danced across her console. "7 ships, Captain. No, wait, 12. They're still coming through." She looked up, her face pale. "Their smallest vessel is 5 times our size." Dr. Minho Park leaned over his station, his scientific instruments going wild with data. "Captain, I'm reading energy signatures from at least 4 different technological origins. These aren't from one species. This is a fleet of different aliens working together." Daewon felt his chest tighten. Humanity had dreamed of this moment for centuries. First contact with alien life. But in those dreams, humans were always the ones doing the approaching, not being surrounded. A pulse of light burst from the largest ship, and every screen on the bridge flickered. Then a voice filled the air, speaking perfect English through some kind of translation technology. "Attention, human vessel. You are in violation of galactic law. Cease all activity and prepare to receive representatives of the Galactic Council." The crew exchanged nervous glances. Daewon stepped forward. "This is Captain Daewon Kim of the exploration vessel, Taejin's Hope, representing the United Earth government. We mean no harm. We were surveying this star system for possible colonization. You will power down your weapons and allow us to board," the voice continued, ignoring his words. "Resistance will be met with immediate containment," Hana whispered urgently. "Captain, our weapons are already powered down. We're a survey ship, not a warship." "They don't know that," Minho muttered. "Or they don't care." Daewon made his decision quickly. "Stand down all systems except life support and communications. Allow them to board, but stay alert." 20 minutes later, the airlock opened, and 3 beings entered the Taejin's Hope. The lead creature stood nearly 8 feet tall, its body covered in smooth, chitinous plates that gleamed like polished metal. Multiple eyes arranged in a hexagonal pattern regarded the humans with what might have been contempt. Behind it came 2 other aliens, equally strange and imposing. The insectoid being spoke, its mandibles clicking as the translator worked. "I am Ambassador Thulax of the Velariti Imperium. You have violated Protocol 7 of the Galactic Compact. Explain yourselves." Daewon stepped forward, refusing to be intimidated. "Ambassador, we were unaware of any galactic laws. This is humanity's first contact with alien species. We've been exploring space for less than 200 years. Thulax's head tilted in a gesture that seemed universal for confusion. "Ignorance is not exemption. The Galactic Compact has governed civilized space for 50,000 years. All spacefaring species must abide by its regulations." "Then tell us these regulations," Daewon replied. "We can't follow laws we don't know exist." The ambassador produced a device that projected a holographic map of the galaxy. A small bubble of space near Earth glowed yellow. "Juvenile species are permitted to operate within designated zones until they prove their maturity and stability. Your species was granted this zone 300 years ago when you achieved basic spaceflight." Minho's eyes widened. 300 years ago? But we didn't even have functional satellites then. How could you have been monitoring us? "The Council monitors all developing species," Thulax stated flatly. "You have now expanded beyond your permitted boundaries." The hologram showed red dots scattered beyond the yellow zone. 23 colonies, 4,300,000 human individuals residing in prohibited space. Hana's hand moved subtly toward her sidearm. "You've been watching us this whole time? Counting our people?" "It is standard procedure," Thulax replied. Young species must be controlled. Without guidance, they become dangerous to themselves and others. History has proven this truth across millennia. Daewon felt anger rising in his chest, but he kept his voice calm. What exactly are you demanding? You will acknowledge galactic law. You will immediately cease all expansion. You will withdraw every human presence beyond your designated zone within 1 standard year. You will submit to council oversight until your species demonstrates sufficient maturity for full membership. This process typically requires 500 to 1,000 years. The bridge fell silent. 500 years minimum. The colonies that humans had built with sweat and sacrifice, homes to millions, all to be abandoned. Minho broke the silence. And if we refuse? Thulax's multiple eyes seemed to glitter. Refusal is not an option. Compliance is mandatory. You have 48 hours to signal your acceptance and begin withdrawal procedures. 48 hours to uproot 4 million lives? Hana said incredulously. The timeline for complete withdrawal is 1 year, Thulax corrected. The 48 hours is for your acknowledgement of our authority. Daewon studied the alien carefully. Behind the imposing presence and the absolute certainty, he sensed something. This was routine for them. They expected immediate submission. They had probably done this dozens of times to other species. I need to consult with my government, Daewon said. This decision affects our entire species. You have 48 hours, Thulax repeated. The Council does not negotiate with lawbreakers. We offer mercy and guidance. You will accept both or face the consequences. What consequences? Daewon asked directly. The ambassador paused as if the question itself was strange. Enforcement, containment, correction. The Council has maintained peace in this galaxy for 50,000 years. We will not allow one species' arrogance to threaten that peace. After the aliens departed, the bridge crew gathered around their captain. Hana spoke first. They're treating us like children who wandered into the street. No, Minho said quietly. They're treating us like dogs that left the yard. They think they own us. Daewon stared at the starfield outside, thinking of the colonies. New Jeju, with its terraformed farmlands. Armstrong Station, where his daughter was studying. Humanity's pride and hope scattered among the stars. Send a message to Earth, he finally said. Full report, and tell them I'm requesting permission to address the Galactic Council directly. Hana blinked in surprise. Captain? They expect us to roll over. Every instinct in my body says that's what they're used to. Daewon smiled grimly. Let's surprise them. Request a formal hearing before this council. If they've been watching us for 300 years, they should know humans don't surrender easily. And if they refuse the hearing? Minho asked. Then we'll have our answer about what kind of peace they're really offering, Daewon replied. Get me that comm line to Earth. We have 48 hours and I intend to use every second. The crew scattered to their tasks, but each of them felt it. The weight of history balanced on a knife's edge. Humanity's first contact with alien life, and it might also be their first war. The Council mothership, Eternal Judgment, hung in space like a small moon. Captain Daewon watched through the shuttle window as they approached, feeling smaller with each passing kilometer. The structure was ancient, its hull marked with symbols from languages that existed before humans discovered fire. I've counted 47 different ship designs docked at that station, Hana said from the pilot seat. 47 different species, all working together under this council. Beside Daewon sat Envoy Jiwoo Choi, a young diplomat who had arrived from Earth just hours before their departure. She clutched her datapad nervously, reviewing her prepared speeches for the 100th time. First time in space? Daewon asked gently. First time representing 3 billion people, Jiwoo replied with a shaky smile. No pressure. Dr. Minho looked up from his scanner. The energy readings from that station are incredible. Some of those power systems are operating on principles we haven't even theorized yet. We're children playing with toys compared to this. Children can still ask questions, Daewon said firmly, and children grow up. The shuttle docked with a soft clang. As the airlock opened, they were met by an escort of 4 beings. The lead creature was covered in iridescent feathers, its eyes ancient and knowing. It stood on 2 legs, but its arms were wings folded against its body. "I am High Arbiter Kelnoth," the being said, its voice like wind through leaves. "I have served the Council for 3,000 years. I have seen species rise and fall. I have seen peace maintained and chaos prevented. You will follow me." 3,000 years. Daewon tried to wrap his mind around it. This being had been alive longer than human civilization. They walked through corridors that shifted and changed, adapting to accommodate species of different sizes and atmospheric needs. Everywhere, aliens moved about their business. Some ignored the humans completely. Others stared with open curiosity or what might have been pity. The council chamber was enormous. Tiered seating rose in a circle, each level occupied by different species. Some breathed toxic gases, enclosed in transparent domes. Others floated in liquid environments. A few defied explanation entirely, their forms shifting and incomprehensible. Kelnoth gestured to a small platform in the center. "You may present your case. The council will hear you, though the outcome is predetermined. This is a courtesy, not a negotiation." Jiwoo stepped forward, her voice stronger than Daewon expected. "Honored members of the Galactic Council, humanity comes before you in peace and humility. We seek understanding. We have built our colonies in good faith, unaware of any laws we were breaking." A rumbling voice echoed from somewhere in the upper tiers. "Ignorance excuses nothing. Law exists, whether you know it or not. But we do not understand the purpose of this law," Jiwoo pressed on. "Why must we abandon our homes? What threat do we pose?" Kelnoth's feathers ruffled. "Young species are volatile, aggressive, unpredictable. Without proper boundaries, they wage wars, destroy ecosystems, threaten established civilizations. The Galactic Compact exists to prevent such chaos. Every species in this chamber has accepted these terms, every single one." Dr. Minho couldn't help himself. For how long? How long did each species wait before gaining full freedom? A new voice answered, this one mechanical and cold. "The Vex Collective waited 600 years, the Molar Confederation 830, the Anthari Dominion 1050. "And in that time, what did they do?" Daewon asked. Kelnoth's head tilted. "They remained in their zones. They developed their cultures. They proved they could maintain internal peace and stability. They matured." "Or they stagnated," Daewon said quietly. The chamber erupted in hisses, clicks, and sounds that the translators couldn't process. Kelnoth raised a wing for silence. "You dare insult this council?" "I'm stating an observation," Daewon replied calmly. "Dr. Park, share your findings." Minho activated his datapad, projecting data into the air. "We've analyzed the technological advancement rates of council species over the past 1,000 years. The average innovation rate is 0.03% annually. That's nearly zero. Meanwhile, humanity's rate is approximately 11%. We've gone from basic flight to interstellar travel in under 3 centuries. "Speed is not wisdom," Kelnoth said sharply. "Your rapid growth proves our point. You are reckless, undisciplined." "Or we're alive," Daewon countered. "With respect, High Arbiter, when was the last time your species created something truly new? When did any council species last push the boundaries of what was possible?" Jiwoo touched his arm in warning, but Daewon continued. "You've created peace, yes, but it's the peace of a museum. Everything preserved exactly as it is, nothing changing, nothing growing." Kelnoth's eyes narrowed. "Do you know what happens without our guidance?" 7,000 years ago, the Krathar species refused council oversight. They expanded aggressively, conquered 17 star systems, enslaved 6 primitive species. The council was forced to intervene. The Krathar no longer exist. How many others? Hana asked quietly. 12 species in total have refused council authority, Kelnoth stated. None survived their arrogance. The weight of those words settled over the humans like a physical force. Jiwoo's prepared speeches seemed meaningless now. This wasn't about law or diplomacy. This was about power and submission. So we have no choice, Daewon said. Submit or be destroyed. You have the choice to be wise, Kelnoth replied. Accept guidance. Grow within your boundaries. In 500 years, perhaps less if you prove cooperative, you may petition for expanded territories. This is generous. This is the path every civilization before you has taken. Daewon looked around the chamber at the assembled species. Some appeared insectoid, others reptilian, some defying classification, but they all had one thing in common. They all looked comfortable, settled, content with their place in the galaxy. What if we refuse? He asked the question they were all thinking. The chamber fell completely silent. Even the background hum of environmental systems seemed to pause. Kelnoth's voice lost all warmth. Then you will be contained by force. Your colonies will be evacuated or destroyed. Your vessels will be impounded. Your species will be confined to your home system until you learn obedience. If you resist, you will be eliminated as a threat to galactic peace. How many ships would that take? Daewon pressed. The Council fleet numbers over 10,000 vessels, Kelnoth said. We have maintained order for 50 millennia. We can mobilize forces beyond your comprehension. That's not an answer, Daewon observed. You haven't fought a real war in 40,000 years, have you? Just enforcement actions against species too young to fight back. Kelnoth's feathers rose in what was clearly anger. You test our patience, human. We offer you mercy and you respond with defiance. I'm trying to understand, Daewon said. You say you want peace, but you're threatening war if we don't submit. You say you want us to mature, but you're treating us like property. I need to understand what kind of peace you're really offering. Jiwoo found her voice again. Please, honored council, give us time. Let us return to Earth and present your terms to our people. Surely a few more days will not matter after 50,000 years. Kelnoth was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke. You have consumed your 48 hours traveling here and presenting this futile appeal. You will return to your ship and signal your compliance immediately. The council has spoken. This audience is concluded. As guards moved to escort them out, Daewon turned back. One question, High Arbiter. In 3,000 years, have you ever been wrong? The ancient being stared at him with eyes that had seen civilizations rise and fall. The council is never wrong. That is why we endure. On the shuttle ride back, Jiwoo was crying quietly. I failed. I couldn't convince them. You were never going to, Hana said gently. They made their decision 50,000 years ago. Every species since has just confirmed what they already believed. Daewon stared out at the stars, his mind racing. Minho, you said their innovation rate is nearly 0. Correct. And their last real war was 40,000 years ago. Also correct. So they're powerful but predictable, strong but inflexible. Daewon smiled slightly. Get me a secure channel to Earth. I need to speak with Admiral Jae-sung. I think I know what we need to do. What's that, Captain? Hana asked. Something they won't expect, Daewon replied. Something no species has done before. We're going to say no. Admiral Jae-sung-yoon stood in the war room deep beneath Earth's surface, surrounded by holographic displays showing humanity's military assets scattered across dozens of star systems. The numbers were not encouraging. Run it again, he ordered, his weathered face illuminated by the blue glow of tactical projections. The simulation played out for the 7th time. Human forces engaged the Council fleet. The result was always the same: total defeat within 6 weeks, sometimes less. "Their shields are too strong," his tactical officer reported. "Our weapons are designed for combat with other human vessels. We've never faced energy barriers of this magnitude." President Yoon Ha-song watched the simulation with growing dread. 6 weeks. That's all we have? In a direct confrontation, yes, Jae-sung admitted. Their technology is thousands of years more advanced. They have more ships, bigger weapons, and they've been coordinating fleet movements since before we invented the wheel. "Then we submit," one of the council members said. "We have no choice." "There's always a choice," Jae-sung growled. "The question is whether we're willing to pay the price." In another part of the facility, a young technician named Boram Han was doing something technically illegal. She had hacked into the encrypted data transmission that Captain Dae-won had sent from the Council mothership. Most of it was diplomatic reports and sensor readings. But buried in the code was something else. Raw data from the Council's own networks, quietly copied when Dr. Minho had connected his scanner to their systems. Boram's eyes widened as she read through the technical specifications. "Oh my God," she whispered. She ran to find her supervisor, then his supervisor, until finally she was standing in front of Admiral Jae-sung himself, breathless and excited. "Ma'am, sir, I mean Admiral," she stammered. "You need to see this. The Council fleet, their weapon systems. They're ancient." Jae-sung frowned. "Ancient meaning powerful?" "Ancient meaning old," Boram said, pulling up her analysis. "Look at the design patterns. These ships haven't been updated in thousands of years. The newest vessel in their fleet is over 4,000 years old. They maintain them perfectly, but they haven't innovated at all." President Yoon-ha leaned forward. "Explain what that means for us." Boram's fingers flew across her data pad. "It means their weapons are predictable. Their tactics are established. They fight the same way they did 40,000 years ago because they haven't needed to change. Why would they? Every species they've faced has submitted." "But we won't," Jae-sung said slowly, understanding dawning. "Exactly," Boram said. "Our technology is younger, but it's constantly evolving. We innovate every year, every month. We try new things because we have to. We're scrappy, and they have no experience fighting an enemy like that." The Admiral pulled up the war simulations again. "Show me. How does this change our projections?" Boram worked quickly, modifying the parameters. Instead of direct fleet engagement, she programmed guerrilla tactics, hit-and-run attacks, unconventional strategies, asymmetric warfare. The new simulation played out. Humanity still lost, but it took 3 months instead of 6 weeks, and the Council casualties were significantly higher. "It's still a loss," President Yoon-ha noted. "But it's not a slaughter," Jae-sung replied. "And every day we hold out is another day to adapt, to learn, to innovate. That's our advantage. We learn fast." Meanwhile, aboard the Taijin's Hope, Captain Dae-won was conducting his own analysis. He had assembled his senior staff in the conference room and displayed everything they had learned about the Council species. "Dr. Park, your assessment," Dae-won requested. Minho stood, gesturing to the data. 47 species in the Council. I've been studying their innovation rates, their cultural evolution, their technological development. And I found something disturbing. They're all stagnant. He pulled up comparative graphs. "Look at this. The Velorites, Ambassador Thulax's species, haven't produced a new form of art in 3,000 years. The Molor haven't updated their ship designs in 5,000. The Anthari still use the same governmental structure they had 10,000 years ago." "They're comfortable," Hana observed. "They've found a system that works, and they're content to maintain it forever." "Exactly," Minho agreed. "The Council doesn't just enforce law, it enforces stasis. Nothing changes. Nothing grows. It's the opposite of everything that makes humanity what we are. Day-Wan nodded slowly. We fought our way out of caves. We survived ice ages, plagues, world wars. We split the atom and walked on our moon. We've never been content with good enough. We always push further. Which is exactly why they're afraid of us, Hana said. We're chaotic, unpredictable. We don't fit their model. So what do we do? Asked Commander Hyunwoo Nam, who was joining via transmission from the outer colonies. Fight a war we can't win? Day-Wan stood and walked to the viewport, staring out at the stars. I've been thinking about what High Arbiter Kelnoth said. 12 species have refused Council authority. All of them were destroyed. Not encouraging, Captain, Hyunwoo said dryly. But what if they were alone? Day-Wan continued. What if each of those species stood against the Council by themselves, isolated and outnumbered? What if none of them had time to prepare, to unite, to plan? We have time, Hana realized. Not much, but some. And we have warning. We know they're coming. Day-Wan turned back to his crew. We have something else, too. We have 4 million people in those colonies who have built lives among the stars. They're farmers, engineers, families. They won't surrender easily. A transmission came through from Earth. Admiral Jae-sung's face appeared on the screen. Captain Kim, I've reviewed your report and our strategic options. I won't lie to you. In a straight fight, we lose badly. But I don't think this is going to be a straight fight. What are you proposing, Admiral? Day-Wan asked. The President is about to make an announcement to all human colonies and vessels. We're not submitting. We're not withdrawing. And we're not attacking. We're defending. Every colony, every station, every human being in space. If the Council wants to enforce their law, they'll have to go through us. President Yun-ha appeared beside the Admiral. Captain Kim, the Council expects us to behave rationally, to weigh our survival against our pride and choose survival. But there's something they don't understand about humanity. What's that, Madam President? We don't think freedom is negotiable, she said firmly. Not for us, not for our children, not for any generation to come. The Council may be older and stronger, but they've forgotten what it means to fight for something that matters more than survival. Day-Wan felt a surge of pride and terror in equal measure. When do you want me to deliver our answer? You're scheduled to address the full Galactic Council in 18 hours, Jae-sung said. Every species in the Council will be watching. So will every human in colonized space. Make it count, Captain. After the transmission ended, Hana turned to Day-Wan. You know this could mean war. Real war. People will die. I know, Day-Wan said quietly. But what's the alternative? We teach our children that freedom is only worth defending when the cost is low? That we should kneel to anyone with a bigger stick? Minho spoke up. The Council maintains peace. That's worth something. Peace built on submission isn't peace, Day-Wan replied. It's just slow suffocation. They've created a galaxy where nothing changes, nothing grows, nothing new is born. That's not peace. That's death wearing a pleasant mask. He walked back to the viewport, watching a distant colony world rotate slowly. My daughter is on Armstrong Station. She's studying xenobiology, excited about all the life we might find in the universe. What do I tell her? That she needs to stop dreaming because some ancient species decided humanity's dreams are too dangerous. So we fight, Hana said. Not a question. We defend, Day-Wan corrected. There's a difference. We're not attacking the Council. We're refusing to be controlled by them. If they choose violence, that's their decision. They will choose violence, Minho warned. They've done it 12 times before. Maybe, Day-Wan agreed. But those 12 species are gone. No one remembers their names. No one knows their stories. What if we're different? What if we're the ones who finally make the Council question their own certainty? Hyun-woo's voice came through the comm. Captain, The colonists are asking what to do. Do they evacuate? Fortify? What are our orders? Daewon thought for a long moment. Then he smiled. Tell them to live their lives, tend their farms, teach their children, build their futures. And if the council comes, tell them to stand together and refuse to be moved. Not with violence, but with absolute determination. Show the galaxy what humanity means. And if the council brings their fleet? Hyunwoo pressed. Then we'll see what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable species, Daewon replied. Get me a channel to the council. It's time to give them our answer. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council had never held so many observers. Species from across the galaxy tuned in to watch what they expected to be a simple formality. Another young civilization bowing to the inevitable. Another confirmation that the Council's way was the only way. Captain Daewon Kim stood alone on the central platform, facing the assembled representatives of 47 species. High Arbiter Kelnoth perched in the highest seat, his ancient eyes fixed on the human with what might have been curiosity or contempt. Captain Kim, Kelnoth's voice echoed through the chamber. You have requested this audience to deliver your species' formal acceptance of council authority. Proceed. Daewon took a slow breath. Back on Earth, President Yoon Ha watched from the war room. On Armstrong Station, his daughter held her breath. On New Jeju, families gathered around their screens. 4 million colonists and 3 billion people on Earth waited for his words. High Arbiter, honored members of the Galactic Council, Daewon began, his voice calm and clear. I stand before you as a representative of humanity. You have demanded our submission. You have ordered us to abandon our colonies, to confine ourselves to the boundaries you have set, and to accept your authority over our destiny. This is correct, Kelnoth confirmed. Do you accept these terms? Daewon looked directly at the High Arbiter. No. The single word hung in the air like a thunderclap. For 3 full seconds, the chamber was absolutely silent. Then it erupted. Clicks, hisses, roars, and sounds that no human ear could identify filled the space. Some species seemed shocked, others outraged. A few appeared almost excited. Kelnoth raised a wing for silence. When the noise died down, his voice was cold. You refuse the Council's authority? I acknowledge the Council's power, Daewon replied carefully. Your ships are impressive. Your technology is ancient and formidable. You have maintained order in this galaxy for 50,000 years. These are facts, and I don't dispute them. Yet you refuse to obey our law, Kelnoth stated. I refuse to accept that your law has any right to govern human destiny, Daewon said. You monitored our species for 300 years. You watched us struggle and grow. You saw us reach for the stars. But you never introduced yourselves. You never offered guidance or friendship. You only appeared when we had grown strong enough to be noticed. And your first contact was a demand for submission. A mechanical voice spoke from one of the upper tiers. This is procedure. Young species require boundaries. Why? Daewon challenged. Because you fear what we might become? Or because you fear we might show the galaxy that your way isn't the only way? Ambassador Thulax rose from his seat. You are arrogant, human. You have existed for mere moments compared to the civilizations in this chamber. What can you possibly teach us? Nothing, Daewon admitted. Right now we are children compared to you. Our technology is primitive, our understanding limited, but we are growing, learning, adapting, and you want to stop that process because it makes you uncomfortable. We want to prevent catastrophe, Kelnoth said sharply. Unchecked expansion leads to conflict. Conflict leads to war. We have seen it countless times. Daewon nodded. And what did you do about it? Did you offer to mediate, to teach, to guide with patience and wisdom? Or did you simply destroy those who wouldn't obey? The chamber fell quiet again. Kelnoth's feathers ruffled. The species that refused council authority were given every opportunity to comply. They chose destruction. They chose freedom, Day One countered. And you couldn't tolerate that, because if one species can thrive outside your system, others might question it. Your entire order depends on universal compliance. If anyone succeeds on their own terms, your 50,000 years of certainty collapses. This is offensive nonsense, Thulax declared. The Council has created peace, stability, order across millions of worlds. You've created stagnation, Daewon said flatly. Dr. Park's research shows that Council species have innovation rates near zero. You don't create new art, new technology, new ideas. You maintain what you have. That's not civilization, that's preservation. What is wrong with preservation? Kelnoth demanded. We have eliminated war. We have prevented suffering. You've eliminated growth, Daewon replied. Humanity has experienced terrible wars, horrible suffering, mistakes that cost millions of lives. But we learned from them. We grew. We became better, not by avoiding challenge, but by facing it. He gestured around the chamber. How many species here remember what it's like to struggle, to fail and try again, to dream of something beyond what you already have? You've made yourselves comfortable, and you call it wisdom, but wisdom without growth is just comfortable ignorance. A new voice spoke, one that bubbled like water. What do you propose, human? That we abandon 50,000 years of proven success because a species that has barely left its cradle thinks it knows better? I propose that you let us prove ourselves, Daewon said. Not by waiting 500 years in a cage, but by living free. Give humanity a trial period. We will not expand aggressively. We will respect established territories. We will engage peacefully with other species, but we will not withdraw from the homes we have built. And if you fail? Kelnoth asked. If you cause harm? Then you can enforce your law, Daewon said. I'm not asking you to disarm or abandon your principles. I'm asking you to judge us by our actions, not by your fear of what we might do. Thulax clicked his mandibles in what seemed like laughter. You offer us a compromise? You who have no leverage, no power, no hope of victory? What happens when we refuse this generous offer? Daewon's expression became serious. Then you will have to enforce your law with violence. Every human colony will resist. Not with military force initially, but with civil disobedience. 4 million people refusing to leave their homes. We will remove them, Kelnoth said coldly. You'll try, Daewon agreed. And when some of them resist, you'll have to decide whether to use lethal force against civilians, families, children, and every species in the galaxy will watch you do it. He activated a holographic display showing human colonies, families farming, children playing, scientists working, ordinary people living ordinary lives. This is what you'll be destroying, Daewon said. Not military installations, not aggressive expansion, just people trying to build futures for themselves. Is that what the Council's peace looks like? Forcing families from their homes at gunpoint. If they would simply comply, Thulax began. They won't, Daewon interrupted. And I won't order them to. Humanity has decided that freedom is not negotiable. Not our freedom to expand endlessly, but our freedom to live without permission, to grow without approval, to exist on our own terms. Kelnoth stood, his full height imposing. You are forcing us to use violence. Blood will be on your hands. Blood will be on the hands of whoever chooses violence, Daewon corrected. We're not attacking anyone. We're simply refusing to obey. If the Council chooses war over tolerance, that's the Council's choice. He looked around the chamber one more time. I know most species here submitted to Council authority. Maybe they were wise. Maybe they avoided needless suffering. But humanity is different. We have a saying, give me freedom or give me death. It might sound dramatic to you, foolish, irrational, but it's who we are. Then you choose death, Kelnoth said. The Council will enforce compliance. Your colonies will be evacuated. Your resistance will be broken. This is your final opportunity to avoid catastrophe. Daiwan transmitted a final image. Earth's defense fleet mobilizing, ships taking position around every colony. Not weapons charging for attack, but shields powering up for defense. We're not warriors, Daiwan said quietly. Most of us are farmers, engineers, teachers. But we will defend our right to exist as free beings. If you want our colonies, you'll have to take them from us. And every human in every settlement on every world will make you work for it. He straightened his uniform. That's humanity's answer, High Arbiter. Not submission, not surrender. Just a simple word that every species should be able to say to those who claim authority over them. No. The chamber erupted again, but this time there was something different in the noise. Not just outrage. Some species seemed confused. A few appeared thoughtful. One or two might have been impressed. Kelnoth's voice cut through the chaos. The Council will vote on enforcement action. Captain Kim, you and your species have signed your own death warrant. The galaxy will remember this day as the moment humanity chose extinction over wisdom. Maybe, Daiwan acknowledged. Or maybe the galaxy will remember this as the day one species finally stood up and reminded you all what freedom means. I guess we'll find out together. As guards escorted him from the chamber, Daiwan activated his comlink to the Taijin's Hope. Hana, broadcast my final statement to all human channels. What statement, Captain? Daiwan smiled. Tell them the answer has been delivered. Tell them to stand firm. Tell them that whatever happens next, humanity will face it with our heads held high. We didn't come to the stars to kneel. We came to stand. Behind him, the Galactic Council descended into the chaos of a debate they hadn't had in 40,000 years. For the first time in longer than most could remember, the outcome was uncertain, and across the galaxy, billions of beings watched and wondered what would happen when the unstoppable force of ancient authority met the immovable object of human stubbornness. The Council fleet arrived at New Jeju exactly 3 days after Captain Daiwan's address. 20 massive warships emerged from faster-than-light travel, their hulls gleaming with the light of the system's star. They had come to make an example. Fleet Commander Hyun-Woo Nam stood on the bridge of the human defense platform orbiting New Jeju, watching the alien vessels approach. His fleet consisted of 12 ships, mostly converted cargo haulers with military upgrades. Against 20 Council dreadnoughts, it was like bringing sticks to a gunfight. All ships report ready, Commander, his tactical officer said, though her voice shook slightly. Hyun-Woo opened a channel to the civilian population below. This is Commander Nam, to all residents of New Jeju. The Council fleet has arrived. We will do everything in our power to protect you. Stay in your shelters and trust us. On the surface, families huddled in reinforced bunkers. The colony had been built by settlers who left Earth for a better life, who had terraformed this world with their own hands. They had no intention of leaving. The Council fleet's commander, a Velaraite named Kreshnal, transmitted to the human ships. You will stand down and allow us to evacuate the colony. Resistance will be met with overwhelming force. The colony doesn't want to be evacuated, Hyun-Woo replied. These are their homes. Their homes are illegal, Kreshnal stated. You have 1 hour to begin withdrawal. Hyun-Woo cut the transmission and turned to his crew. Remember the plan. We're not here to win. We're here to make them work for it. Make every meter cost them something. The hour passed in tense silence. Then the Council ships advanced. What happened next would be studied by military historians for generations. The Council fleet, accustomed to overwhelming technological superiority, approached in a standard formation used for enforcement actions. They expected the human ships to either flee or be destroyed quickly. Instead, the human vessels scattered like startled birds. What are they doing? Kreshnal demanded, as his sensors tracked 12 different targets moving in 12 different directions. The human ships dove into the asteroid field that orbited New Jeju. It was a navigational hazard that the Council ships would normally avoid. The humans plunged in without hesitation. "Sir, we could pursue, but the asteroids could damage our hulls," Crescenal's tactical officer warned. "They're using terrain we won't risk," Crescenal realized. "Clever, but ultimately futile. Target the colony directly. If the ships won't surrender, we'll force them out by evacuating their civilians." But as the Council ships moved toward New Jeju, the human vessels emerged from the asteroid field, firing weapons from unexpected angles. Their weapons were primitive, but they targeted specific systems, guided by data from Dr. Yuna Bayek's research team who had analyzed the Council's technology for weaknesses. One human ship, piloted by an ace named Tai Yang So, executed a maneuver that made Crescenal's crew gasp. The small vessel accelerated to dangerous speeds, then killed all power and drifted on momentum alone, sliding past a Council dreadnought's shields before firing at point-blank range into an engine-cooling port. The Council ship didn't explode, but its propulsion went offline. One ship disabled. "Impossible," Crescenal hissed. "That human should have died. That velocity, that angle, there's no margin for error." "They're insane," his tactical officer said. "No," Crescenal corrected grimly. "They're desperate. And desperate beings are unpredictable." Tae Yang's voice crackled over the human comm channels, laughing wildly. "Did you see that? I actually pulled it off. Dr. Bayek, your targeting data was perfect." "Don't celebrate yet." Yuna's voice came from the research station orbiting the colony. "They're adapting. Adjusting shield frequencies. You won't get that lucky twice." But luck, Hyunwoo knew, was only part of it. The Council fought with precision and overwhelming force. Humans fought with improvisation and controlled chaos. Every tactic was new, every maneuver unexpected. The Council's 40,000 years of experience meant nothing when facing an enemy that refused to fight by established rules. Still, numbers and technology mattered. One by one, human ships took damage. The converted cargo hauler, Busan Dream, lost its weapons. The patrol ship, Seoul's Pride, suffered engine failure. They weren't winning, but they were lasting far longer than the Council expected. And they were learning. Dr. Yuna watched the battle data stream into her computers. "Commander Nam, I'm seeing a pattern in their shield rotation. If you can coordinate strikes from multiple angles within a 2-second window, you might penetrate their defenses." "Might?" Hyunwoo asked. "It's theoretical," Yuna admitted. "I've never tested it." "Good enough," Hyunwoo said. "All ships, form pattern Gamma 7. On my mark, we target the lead dreadnought. Synchronize your firing solutions." What the Council didn't understand was that human military doctrine had evolved through constant conflict. Humans had fought each other for millennia, developing tactics against enemies who adapted and learned. The Council had only fought enforcement actions against species too terrified or too primitive to resist effectively. The human ships converged from 4 directions, firing in perfect synchronization. The combined assault overloaded the dreadnought's shields for exactly 1.3 seconds. In that window, 3 shots penetrated, damaging the ship's command deck. Crescenal found himself in emergency lighting, alarms blaring. "Report! Command systems damaged. Switching to backup. Sir, how did they know the exact moment our shields would be vulnerable?" "They didn't know," Crescenal realized. "They tested and adapted. In the middle of battle, they learned our weakness and exploited it." He opened a channel to the Council command. "This is Fleet Commander Crescenal. I request reinforcements. The human resistance is more significant than anticipated." Back on the Council mothership, High Arbiter Kel Noth watched the battle with growing concern. The humans were losing, yes. But they were making the Council fleet work for every meter of space. And they were broadcasting everything. Across the galaxy, billions of beings from hundreds of species watched the battle. They saw 20 Council dreadnoughts struggling against 12 primitive human ships. They saw humans taking risks that should have killed them, but somehow succeeding. They saw improvisation defeating established doctrine. Some Council species began to remember what their own ancestors had been like before joining the Council, before the comfortable certainty, before the stagnation. On New Jeju's surface, the colonists watched too. A young girl named Min-Ah clutched her father's hand in the shelter. "Are we going to be okay, Dad?" Her father, a farmer who had spent 10 years terraforming this world, nodded. "Yes. Because those people up there are fighting for us. And we don't give up. That's what it means to be human." In orbit, Commander Hyunwoo's flagship took a direct hit. Emergency systems kicked in as atmosphere vented from the starboard hull. "Sir, we've lost main power," his engineer reported. "We're dead in space." Hyunwoo looked at his crew, at young faces who had joined Earth's defense fleet expecting to explore, not fight. "All ships, this is Commander Nam. Continue the fight. Make every shot count. And remember, we're not trying to win. We're showing them we won't break." The Taijin's hope suddenly appeared from the outer system, Captain Dae-won having raced back from the Council mothership at maximum speed. "This is Captain Kim to all human forces. Reinforcements are inbound from Earth. Admiral Jae-sung's fleet will arrive in 6 hours. Hold the line." Kreshenal intercepted the transmission. 6 hours. His fleet could finish this battle in 2 hours if he committed to maximum force, but that would mean devastating strikes against the colony itself. Civilian casualties. He thought about the galaxy watching. The Council had always claimed moral authority, the guardians of peace. Could he order the deaths of civilians while billions watched? "Sir." "Orders?" his tactical officer pressed. Kreshenal made a decision he would later question for the rest of his life. "Pull back to defensive positions. We hold until reinforcements arrive. No strikes against the surface population." It was a tactical error, and he knew it. But something about the human resistance had shaken him. They weren't fighting like primitives. They were fighting like beings who believed they were right, who knew they might die but fought anyway. As the Council fleet pulled back, the surviving human ships regrouped. They had lost 3 vessels. Dozens were wounded. But New Jeju still flew human flags. On the Council mothership, High Arbiter Kel Noth watched the battle pause. This wasn't how enforcement actions went. The humans should have surrendered by now. Instead, they had fought the Council fleet to a standstill. A transmission came from an unexpected source. Observer Kelmoth of the Witness Collective, a species that had remained neutral for 200,000 years, requested an audience. "High Arbiter," Kelmoth's ancient voice intoned, "the Witness Collective has observed the conflict at New Jeju. We formally request a ceasefire while we mediate this dispute." "This is not a dispute requiring mediation," Kelnoth said sharply. "This is an enforcement action." "This is a species refusing to submit," Kelmoth corrected. "And the galaxy is watching. The Council must decide if maintaining your law is worth the cost it will demand." Kelnoth looked at the data streaming in from across the galaxy. Billions of beings were discussing the human resistance. Some were inspired, others were questioning. The certainty that had governed the galaxy for 50,000 years was cracking. "Very well," Kelnoth said finally. "A temporary ceasefire. 3 days for mediation. But the law must be upheld." "Perhaps," Kelmoth replied enigmatically. "Or perhaps the law must evolve." In orbit around New Jeju, Commander Hyunwoo received word of the ceasefire. His crew cheered weakly, exhausted but alive. Captain Dae-won's voice came through clearly. "Well done, Commander. You've given us what we needed most. Time. And you've shown the galaxy something they haven't seen in 40,000 years." "What's that, Captain?" "That the Council can be challenged," Dae-won replied. "That their certainty isn't as absolute as they believed. Now comes the hard part. We have to turn this battle into lasting change.